Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. I want to kick off this program welcoming State Senator Anthony Bucco, a Republican who is from what district again, Senator?
District 25.
The communities you represent, not all communities, but is it primarily Morris County?
Primarily Morris County and one town in Somerset, Bernardsville.
And the senator is the Republican whip, which is a prominent leadership position in the Republican Party in the Senate. Senator, recently we talked to your colleague, Senator Bramnick. We talked a lot about the Governor Murphy's tax rebate plan. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the first thing I want to talk about is this. Governor Murphy's energy master plan to reduce our carbon footprint, to deal directly with climate change issues, to actually change the way we consume and generate and deal with energy issues. We're involved in a public awareness not a campaign, but creating greater public awareness around clean energy. You have said, fine, I'm for clean energy, but what is the cost of this plan? What exactly is the concern you have about the cost of the governor's energy master plan, A, and B? You've called for halting it, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, look, first, let me say everybody wants to have clean energy. Everybody wants to have a clean environment. But what I'm concerned about is that there was supposed to be a cost estimate with this energy master plan that was supposed to be delivered to the legislature. And as of today, it still hasn't been delivered. So we don't know what the cost is going to be. And that's troubling. You know, you don't jump into the pool till you know how deep the water is. And one of the issues that has come up recently is in front of the BPU, in front of a committee discussing the energy master plan.
Utilities. And check out our interview with the president, Joe Fiordaliso, to get a different perspective. Go ahead, Senator.
Well, listen, I mean, in front of that committee, the DEP said to them, they estimated the change of boilers, just the change of boilers to electric in government and commercial and retail buildings to be about 4 or 5% more than the current cost. The DEP had to come back and correct their math and say, no, wait a minute, we made a mistake. It's not 4 or 5% more. It's 4 or 5 times more. That's a big difference, and that's a big cost. You know, people, I don't think.
What would it mean to consumers, Senator?
It would mean as much as $20,000 to a single household. When you start talking about replacing a furnace, when you start talking about replacing a hot water heater, when you start talking about replacing a gas stove, you can no longer have a gas-generated generator. So, you know, all of these things will have a direct impact on our residents, and they need to know how much the cost is going to be. We also need to understand whether or not we can live on a purely renewable energy system. You know, can the grid handle it? Can the demand handle it? In the wintertime, can our homes sustain a heat level in very cold weather simply on electric heat? All of those things need to be analyzed, and we need to know what the cost is going to be before we decide to move forward. And I'm concerned that the administration is not being transparent. They are not telling us what the cost could be, because I think they know that people would be angry when they find out at how much it's actually going to cost them to reach this goal. And
Senator, let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure.
People may be angry at the cost, and it's unclear what it is. And there are different people who have different estimates on what that cost is. But people are also concerned about climate change. People are also concerned about the future of our way of life for our children, for our grandchildren, and beyond. Don't we have to balance those two competing, sometimes interests? And P.S., when we had the president of the BPU, Joe Fiordaliso, on, he talked about savings for people over time, Senator. You're talking about it costing more, much more.
Well, look, we know one thing. Natural gas can be burnt cleanly. We know that we can do this in a manner in which we don't break the bank and at the same time protect our environment. And all I'm saying is, let's know how much the cost is going to be. Let's figure out if natural gas needs to play a part in this process, because it can be burnt without harming the environment. And we know that. You know, we're going to need generating facilities to generate the electricity. What are they going to be? What are they going to be run on? So
Senator, I
all
want
of
to be
these
clear.
things, all of these things need to be determined before the governor takes the next step. And all we're asking for is the cost estimate.
I got it, Senator. Let me just ask this before I leave this topic. You do acknowledge that the climate change problem is not only real, but very serious.
Yes, I do. I do.
Okay.
I do think we need to address that issue. But again, you know, why can't we know how much the cost is going to be? What is the cost going to be? Why can't the governor supply these numbers to the legislature so that we can make an informed decision going forward?
And I will get off this, but isn't there also a potential, we're talking about potentially tax breaks for people to help them pay for these costs, Senator?
Whenever you start giving tax breaks for renewable energy, what happens is you get away from the economic impact, right? And you start subsidizing these industries. And then when you take the subsidy away, the price has to go way up because they've never operated without a subsidy. And that's a problem. You got to let the economics, play into the system.
Real quick, I'm going to ask you about taxes in just a second, but real quick on childcare, we're doing a series called Reimagine Childcare, which is about creating more affordability for quality childcare, greater public awareness around that. Childcare as an issue, how high a priority for you and your colleagues in the legislature?
Big priority. It's a really big priority. You know, this pandemic really had a huge impact on childcare. You know, and most of that unfortunately landed on mothers' shoulders, right? Moms were home, the kids were home, they were learning virtually, and you know, moms couldn't go back to work. They had to make a choice, and it's a horrible choice.
Dads as well.
Dads as well too, but the majority of it, I think, falls on the mother, and they had to make a terrible choice whether they go back to work or whether they stay home and make sure that their kids are learning and stay in a grade level. That's a horrible choice. I know there was $100 million in last year's budget to address childcare affordability in the governor's budget, and that, as far as I know, still hasn't been spent. And that's something that the governor needs to start thinking about and needs to start working on.
We'll be monitoring that. Real quick before I let you go, Senator, do you believe that the governor's initiative to provide direct rebates to renters and homeowners to help deal with the ridiculous property taxes in the state is the right way to go? Does it make sense?
Look, any break is better than no break. But I think the proposal that the Republicans put forth, and that is give it all back today. This budget is now way ahead of what was projected in terms of revenues. We've got $4.6 billion in excess revenue that we know about, that the governor's office is admitting to, plus all of the stimulus money that's still sitting in the coffers.
The governor says wait till the new budget cycle, which is July 1st. You say do it now.
I mean, you know, it's like that old Popeye adage, I'll kindly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. People are paying their property taxes every day. So, you know, to say to them, wait till the next budget cycle is crazy when we have the ability to give them the tax break now. Do it now. Don't wait.
State Senator Anthony Bucco is a Republican whip. I'm sorry, you finish your last comment. I apologize, Senator.
People are struggling and they need to have this break as soon as they can get it. And to wait is a mistake.
Thank you, Senator. This is Senator Anthony Bucco, the Republican whip from Morris County. I want to thank you so much for joining us, Senator. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve. It's always great to be with you.
Absolutely. We'll be right back after this.
New Jersey's early educators and childcare providers are more than twice as likely to live below the poverty line versus the general workforce. If we want our children to be successful, we need to increase the investment in the people who care for them. It is time to build back better by reimagining the way we support these essential providers. Learn more about the Reimagine Childcare campaign by visiting the website at reimaginechildcare.org.
Also brought to you by New Jersey Sharing Network, the Turrell Fund, supporting Reimagine Childcare, Investors Bank, Englewood Health, the New Jersey Education Association, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, here when you need us most, now and always. Seton Hall University, showing the world what great minds can do since 1856. The Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, and by NJM Insurance Group, serving New Jersey's drivers, homeowners, and business owners for more than 100 years.